I'm picking up a great read today, Jake Tapper's The Original Sin. I'm picking up that book today. And, you know, that book is literally talking about the cover-up that occurred with President Biden, right? And just like everything that, so there's a lot of anonymous sources that were in the administration and around D.C. So they're not, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but there's a lot of people who feel like they were covering up a lot of things. By the way, I think it's a little bit hypocritical. I got to read the book first, but I think it's kind of hypocritical for media people like Jake Tapper to come out with books like that. And respect to Jake, you know what I'm saying? I've been on Jake's show several times, respect him. But I think it's just a little bit hypocritical because none of y'all told the truth about President Biden.
Exactly.
None of y'all. None of you did. And those of us who did got crucified for it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Nobody was telling, like we were watching the decline of President Biden for years. 2023, when I was on Daily Show, and I think I said Joe Biden should do us the biggest favor and step down. Everybody handed me my ass. I'm like, what are y'all seeing that I'm not seeing?
Because there's a Democratic establishment. Shit, we had Bernie on the pod this week, and he was talking about it. He was saying this exact thing. There's a Democratic establishment, a collection of elites that don't want to relinquish that power, and they'll do anything that they possibly can to maintain it. And anything that questions that power, i.e. a media personality going on the Daily Show and talking shit about one of the people that they have maintaining that power, they're going to send everything at you. They're going to crucify you. And it was really validating to see, to be honest with you, or for validating for him to hear it.
Yeah, and there's no reason for a guy like Bernie to play nice. I wish he would have called the Democratic Party out way back then.
I said that to him. I was like, why didn't you do it? You really let me down.
16, I was like, this is going to happen. This guy's going to do it. And it felt like they stole it from him. And I'll be honest, it broke my heart when you supported him.
Look, but you have, in the world that I live in, you got a choice. And I mean, a lot of people, including my wife, agree with you. But, you know, you're down to a choice. Is it going to be Hillary Clinton or is it going to be Donald Trump? Not a great choice.
But it ended up being him anyway, so why don't we burn it down?
Well, because it's easy to say burning it down means that children are not going to have, you know, food to eat, that the schools will deteriorate, people will not have health care.
I got it.
And I'm an elected official. I got to represent the people.
That's fair.
And I can't turn my back on.
But then could we not also say, if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? Yes. We often hear.
Fair enough. That is, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that point.
And he's like, I don't want to say distraught, but he's like really bummed as he says it. Yeah. But he's like, so that was the justification. But like, he was coming at the DNC, and he was talking about like the different media tactics that they use to smear him.
And he said something in flagrant interview. He said, corporate media. Like, we're not going to act like these people don't go hand in hand. These are the same people who...
And YouTube media is so stupid. They just take the corporate media's talking points now and they just regurgitate them, and they're not even getting paid.
They're the same people that would keep a Bernie from rising to the heights he probably should have during 2016, are the same people who covered up whatever was going on with Biden.
And then no accountability.
None.
At all.
None.
They'll pretend it didn't happen.
None.
All these people out here talking about, oh, Biden, I was just talking to him and he's sharp as a tack and all this other shit. And now they're saying, well, he was clearly showing signs of mental decline.
That's why I got to read I'm interested to read Original Sin, but one of the main reasons I'm interested to read it, because I want to see if there's any accountability.
Yeah.
Jake Tapper, one of the biggest guys on CNN. Are you going to hold your network accountable? Are you going to hold MSNBC accountable? You know what I'm saying? Are you going to hold these different publications accountable?
And if Biden was more mentally fit, but still had cancer, right, early stages of it, would they still have ran him if they thought that he was going to win? And the answer is yes. And then they would have sidelined him and they would have announced the cancer. And then Kamala would have ended up being president without anybody voting for her. And this is the exact criticism. We brought it up with Bernie, and he was co-signing it. He was like, the Democratic establishment, whether you like it or not, have not fairly allowed its constituents to democratically elect their person for president. I think the last time they
did it was 2008.
It's 12 years ago.
Yeah, I think President
12
Obama
years
was the last
ago.
organic one, because
Stop calling Trump this autocrat oligarch who's trying to seize power when you have not allowed your constituents.
Well, two things can be true.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is maybe stop only doing that, as if you have not allowed us to elect our person for president for 12 years.
What's so interesting about what that is I think Obama, as far as Democrats are concerned, was the last time that the people said, nah, that's the guy we want. And Republicans, it was Trump.
100%.
People was like, yo, that would like it or love it. That the people was like, that's the guy we want.
And that's democracy. But what Bernie was saying is basically like there are these people that are control the party and they don't want to relinquish their power and they will do whatever it takes to maintain that power. And I think a lot of
they're
times,
doing it again right now.
What are they doing?
I don't know if Bernie realized it or not, because Bernie said on his podcast, he said on Flagrant that, you asked him if he was going to run again. He was like, I'm 83. Like it's not going to happen. But
So disappointed.
there's people that are watching the crowds that him and AOC are commanding right now. And you can see the organic groundswell that's happening. And there's already pushback as if he's going to run again in 2020.
Oh, they're terrified.
It's
They're
already
terrified.
people putting it out there like, no, we can't have any more old white men, run for president. Like, they're already putting that out there. I'm like, y'all making the same mistake again.
Same mistake.
Now, I think Bernie is going to run in 2028? No, because of age.
Yeah, of
but
course.
what I say when I say making the same mistake, once again, you're getting in the way of people and their organic wants. You're getting in the way of people and their organic needs. They're saying, this is what we want. Now, it don't have to be Bernie, but it can be the embodiment of what Bernie believes in, the embodiment of what AOC believes in. Clearly, that's what people want.
But the establishment doesn't want that because then they have to stop, letting pharmaceutical companies do whatever the fuck they want. They have to stop letting healthcare companies do whatever the fuck they want. They have to stop the military-industrial complex from pushing us into wars that we don't want. And the Democrats are 100% willing to do it. There was a question I wanted to ask Bernie, but essentially it's like, is the difference between the Democrats and Republicans this? It's like they both want money from big pharma. They both want money from these billion-dollar corporations. They both are willing to accept control. And then the Democrats are just like, let people use whatever bathroom they want. Is that the only difference?
I think the difference is Democrats act like they're something they're not.
Right. And now people are seeing through it.
Democrats do all of those things you just said.
And then when we see through
they
it, people go, oh, you're just some fucking right-wing maniac. It's like, oh, is that the case? Is everybody who disagrees with you a right-wing maniac?
That's why they virtue signal so much. They virtue signal to distract you from the fact we're doing the same shit. We're just doing it.
So you're just using those
covertly.
communities that you say you care about.
Yeah.
You're using those communities that you say you care about as a smokescreen so you could keep on taking the same money from Big Pharma, keep on taking the same money from the healthcare companies, keep on taking the same money from the military companies. Like, stop the bullshit. The internet is available to people. We can Google things. You can't lie like you could before with the protection of a corporate media.
That's right.
It's seen through. You have to have a different mode that you can play.
And don't tell me you're an ally of the LGBTQ community if you won't even let somebody put a finger in your butt
Facts.
to check that prostate.
Facts.
There's a doctor who said, a doctor was on Morning Joe. He said he worked with Biden. The doctor who worked with Biden says he had cancer for years. He said either they didn't test for it, which proves my point, or they didn't report it. Which one is it? Which one is it?
And don't the people have a right to know these things?
I would think so. And by the way, everybody knows Biden was supposed to be a transitional president. Here's the thing, Biden's legacy, I saw Biden on The View and everything a couple weeks ago. God bless him. There's nothing you can do, Biden. Your legacy is what it is. You were supposed to be a transitional president, and I don't know if it was because of ego or what, you decided no, you wanted to run again, and that's why we're in the situation we're in now. Simple as that. Now, I don't know if any other Democrat could have beat Trump, but I know that, you could have at least gave somebody more time to attempt.
Give somebody a chance.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could have gave somebody more time to attempt.
Yeah.
And guess what? If you knew you had prostate cancer, that's the perfect thing.
That is crazy.
Like, yo, I'm 80-something years old. I just got diagnosed with prostate cancer. I'm a transitional president. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Okay, so Democrats, y'all figure it out. Now you can go get your best candidates, have primaries, all of that other stuff, and maybe the world looks a little bit different right now.
I don't get it. Like, I think that people want to love the Democratic Party, and they seem to be doing the things that stop people from loving them.
I don't think nobody wants to love any party. I think people want the ideals that somebody like a Bernie Sanders speaks about, and Republicans tapped into that this election
Absolutely.
cycle. All they did was speak to the things that people want. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not complicated. People want more money in their pocket and they want to feel safe and secure. If you can make people feel that, you got them. I don't think it matters what the party is. And this is why I really think Republicans are dropping the ball. Republicans are dropping the ball because if they just dialed back the corruption, if they just dialed back the authoritarian rule and governed like people with some goddamn sense, everybody would be loving the Republican Party right now.
Top down, and their top guy is all about the corruption.
But that's my point. But you would have people in a chokehold for years.
But they might already have that.
I don't know, bro.
They think they got it.
They at least think they do.
When I look at the approval ratings, all I see is a bunch of people who are fed up with everything.
Yeah.
Democrats' approval ratings in the toilet, Trump's approval ratings in the toilet, Republicans' approval ratings in the toilet. That lets me know America's just fed up with it all.
Yeah. So then when you're fed, you go.
Do you think you need to improve your team when the other team is shittier?
It's a good point. But that don't mean you're good.
I know, but don't matter.
If you lose, you got to improve your team. Every time you lose, you got to improve.
I'm talking about the
Republicans don't need to do anything.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like, because the Democrats aren't doing anything threatening to them. And I think people are so disillusioned. Listen, the unions refuse to endorse the Democratic Party. Okay? I'm curious Chris's take on this. Some of the unions endorse Trump. If the Democratic Party cannot win the vote of union workers, what are they here for?
Yeah, what's your audience?
What if the Democratic Party cannot win the vote of union workers? Who do they represent?
They don't have a base right now. That's the biggest problem.
Because
I think
we see through it.
Wow, that's me.
I'm about to say, what the hell, Chris?
Taylor
I
in
think
her
they
own
got
world.
two. I think you're right, Chris. They don't have a base, but I think that they have too many people that they try to appease at once.
Right. Someone's going to have to come up who's an asshole, who's going to have to tell certain portions of the Democratic Party at different times.
That's right.
I don't care.
I don't care.
For the greater good.
We need housing.
You're right.
For the greater
Bernie
good.
said some wild shit. Bernie said some wild shit on the pod. He goes, yeah, you know, there's a lot of this identity politics. It's like, I'm black, I'm great, I'm gay, I'm
gay,
great.
I'm the best person
I'm
in
the
the
best
world.
person in the world. He goes, who cares if you're gay? Are you a good person?
Are you a
What
good
do you
person?
believe in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what it's about.
It's a tough moment. I mean, if you're a Democrat, there's no question.
It's not, if you being honest. It's only tough if you're still trying to bullshit people, Chris. It's not tough if you're honest.
You can't build a house in California. You just have to reckon with that. You cannot build a house in California. And in Houston, Texas, they're building houses half as expensive, 5 times as fast. You cannot build a railway in California. That's not
both of
because
those houses are going to be underwater in 10 years, but keep going.
But that railway in California is not because of what Republicans are holding up. There are no Republicans elected in those positions that are holding it up in California. That is 100% on the policies that the Democrats have suggested in that state. At a certain point in time, you need to at least look in the mirror and go, what are we doing that's stopping our citizens from getting the necessary infrastructure that they need to thrive in this country? And if you just keep on going, oh, Republicans bad. We're not talking about the country. We're talking about the state with the democratically elected officials that cannot get a railway built, that have this horrible homelessness problem, that do not have houses for people to not even buy, rent.
You're right, but the homelessness problem is a Republican problem. It started with Ronald Reagan in the 80s.
Yeah, he emptied out the mental institutions.
Absolutely.
Okay, but when I say homelessness, I don't just mean the crazies. I mean the actual people that are like in flux.
Sure.
Like the people who cannot afford to rent places because there's all these crazy zoning laws that restrict people from building 2-person households or whatever they're called, 4-person household. You can't even build out there, and it's not like there's not room.
A lot of that deregulation happened under Reagan, though.
No, there's more regulation that's stopping it. Like they basically have zoned these areas where you're only allowed to build a one family home or something like that. And then when you do that, you just don't have you just don't have the homes that fit the people, one. And then 2, there is all this other space and developers are not willing to go through the gambit of bullshit you need to develop in the first place. There's a certain point in time, you just need to have a little reflection. You can shit on Republicans for all you want, and that is fair. You're allowed to do that, and you're allowed to say you have better ideas, and I hope those ideas, if they are better, they thrive. But there has to be a little reflection to go, what can we serve the people better with?
I agree, and you know what the reflection is, and Bernie said it on Flagrant. Everybody's the fucking blame. This ain't a Democrat thing. It's not a Republican
facts.
thing.
Exactly.
This is government has failed the people. We live in a capitalist society where you got all of these motherfuckers with all the wealth. Elon Musk has more wealth than more than half of the bottom of America?
Yep.
Like, come on.
Yep.
Like, there's no way we live in a society that claims to be the most wealthiest society on the planet and we can't fix homelessness.
Well, in that case, the Democrats' pivot should be to go more socialist.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with.
Yes, they should. That's what everybody's
and that's
saying.
Bernie.
That's what everybody's saying.
Because the Republican solution to what you just described is going to be more capitalism. Deregulation.
There's no question that by deregulating everything, it puts those billion-dollar corporations in the position to increase profits, right? Because they're going to be the ones that swoop in and they're going to be the ones that do all that development and they reap the rewards of that. That being said, people need a home. We cannot deny that. People need a place to live. And if there aren't enough places to live for people, one, they're going to start moving out of your state, which is a big fucking problem. I think California has lost almost 300,000 people. Not in total. I mean, not 300,000 moved, meaning 300,000 people less are living there than there were last year. That's a big fucking number, dude.
Hell yeah, that was after COVID. A lot. New York had a lot of people.
We lost 178.
New York's not an affordable. The biggest issue in New York City right now outside of climate stuff is housing.
Housing. We need housing. So something needs to happen. You have in Midtown right now, you have hundreds of probably millions of square feet of these office buildings that are not being used because people are not going to the office. Convert them to residential, but they won't do it because there's all this bullshit red tape. Say again?
The zoning.
The zoning is, and it's just like you have to look. Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania, right? There was that bridge that kind of like got burned down or something like that.
Yeah.
Rebuilt in 12 days. How did he do it? With the Emergency Act. So he got to wipe away all the red tape. He already acknowledged if they had to do it through the traditional system that they have there, it would take 12 to 18 months.
Sure.
What the fuck is going on?
Yo, Governor Shapiro, when you pulling up the flagrant, yo,
we might need to talk to him. Get rid of all the shit.
No, I told him, like, Governor Shapiro is, here's the thing, the governors are the ones to watch.
Facts.
Because the governors are the people that you can look at and see what they're doing in their state, and what they're doing in their state is probably, if they ever got into the position of power as president, they would do on a national level. Which is why Gavin Newsom don't stand a fucking chance.
There you
I don't
go.
know why the fuck he even is playing with people. All right? Okay, we all love Cali. All right?
Yeah.
And we've all seen what you've done to Cali.
Yeah.
No, beat it. Right? Governor Shapiro,
he's cooking.
He's cooking.
I told Bernie, I said, listen, you talk about the importance of universal health care. I go, do it in Vermont. If you could prove that the state of Vermont can provide universal health care for its citizens, do you not think that there would be a trickle-down effect? Not trickle-down like in terms of trickle-down in economics or whatever, but literally like the people in New York are going, hold on, we have all this wealth and they're not paying anything for healthcare. Why the fuck are we paying for healthcare? And what he said is, well, yes, that would be awesome, but you have these healthcare companies that are lobbying daily to fight that idea. They're telling you, oh, Bernie's going to increase your taxes. And then he said this shit. He goes, yes, your taxes are going to go up. You might pay $6,000 more in taxes, but now your healthcare bill is zero. So you went from paying $12,000 a year in healthcare to zero, but you're paying $6,000 more in taxes. So you just saved $6,000.
Bro.
Like,
the pharmaceutical companies will hire their own goddamn Luigi. They'll go get a Mario or somebody. I'm serious. They'll go get a motherfucking Mario and tell Mario, hey, go take out that elected official that's causing our fucking money to get fucked up.
Mark asked him on the pod. Mark goes, yo, does anybody?
I heard him.
And then he goes, I'd rather not talk about it.
Yeah.
It's actually, that's a great idea, right? Like you take a state like, what's a state that has maybe Alabama or some of these Gulf states where, people have left, Rust Belt, what have you. Institute universal health care. People, I would consider moving to one of those states if there was universal health care and it was quality, right? What's the difference? I can get the internet in fucking Alabama.
I wonder if what state. There's only a couple states that can afford that though.
Bro,
like Cali and New York are probably the only states that can actually afford it.
Every state could afford it.
Bro, it worked with
what they prioritize.
Federal assistance.
It worked with weed, bro. Remember when weed became legal in what was it, Colorado first?
Yep.
how many more states legalized it afterwards when they saw how much money Colorado was making off the legal weed? Now, obviously that has changed and maybe they're not making as much money as they were, but it still starts this momentum in a certain direction where they're like, hold on, how much money they're making off of it? All right, let's legalize this shit.
Tell me, school me how states would pay for universal health care, because I don't see how states would pay it.
You would probably have to raise taxes a little bit. But
Yeah, you raise taxes.
think about the amount of people that we have in New York, for example. You raise taxes a little bit and all that money goes towards healthcare.
But that's what I'm saying. New York, California, different beasts. What about a place like Alabama?
Let me throw something at you, right? Universal health care in the state, right? Your taxes are raised, right? But your employer no longer has to pay for your health care. So if your employer has some integrity, what he does is increases your wage. That wage could offset that.
Also, businesses might move to your state knowing they don't have to cover their employees.
So now it's cheaper to go operate out of your state.
Plus, we talked about the sports teams.
Oh,
Other episode. Suppose a state just said, you know what, Colorado, we're not underwriting the Broncos. Fuck
or if we do, we want equity in it.
Right.
So now the money that the Broncos generate goes back into the state, starts to pay off some of these things.
I don't think it would be universal health care. The payer decides how much that particular medical service is worth or what we're going to pay for it, and that's it. So it's like the states will determine what we're going to pay out instead of the hospital charging like $300 for a Band-Aid or something like that.
Who do you think the top 10 states for healthcare are?
Right now,
Meaning
Massachusetts maybe number one.
Massachusetts, two.
Okay. I'd say California's up there.
Hawaii is number one.
Interesting.
Massachusetts, two. Connecticut, three. Minnesota, four. Rhode Island, five. Vermont is six. New Hampshire, seven. Maryland, eight. Washington, nine. California, number 10. Honorable mention, Colorado and New York and Oregon.
It's just one of those things where it's like, so many people have these incredibly strong opinions about things, and we've built a whole podcast off of it about and not really knowing anything or how it works.
But we call ourselves brilliant idiots.
We acknowledge it.
Yes.
What politician is going to come out and say they're an idiot? You know what I mean?
That is true.
You got 1,500 lobbyists in D.C. right now fighting tooth and nail to make sure that this does not happen in any state. Because they know if it happens in one, it's going to happen in 5. And if it happens in 5, it happens in 15.
By the way, that is the problem with all of these guys, the senators, the congressmen, whoever. It's all you got to do is just follow the money, baby. You know what I mean? Why can't proper gun reform get passed? Go look and see who's funding the senators. How much money is the NRA and other gun lobbyists contributed to their motherfucking campaigns?
100%.
Why you can't get good health care? Go look and see how many of these big pharmaceutical companies are contributing to these people's campaigns. Follow the fucking money.
A lot of times they can hide it with the super PACs.
No, you can still follow the money with the super PACs. I did a whole movie about it. It's called 88, available on Hulu right now.